we have this is the vexing problem. How can something that is infinite be embodied? Embodiment means limitation. How can the infinite become the finite? We also know that thoughts are embodied in actions. We also say that yes, we are principally souls, or basically souls. And we give a long list of qualities for the soul. Its bliss, its joy, its existence. It is infinite, it is eternal. And how can that, which is eternal, infinite, and existence, can be embodied by us? But here we have, even Sri Ramakrishna says, I saw Satchidananda come out of this body and say, I incarnate in every age. Satchidananda is designated as a reality in Vedanta. So an avatar, what are the indications? If you remove any avatar from any religion, you just have a hollow shell. There's nothing left. They dominate everything. They are also the authors of the scriptures. All the scriptures of the world have been given literally by avatars. And then that teachings is then embodied in art and culture and music and literature and everything connected with life. And the next is they dominate the consciousness of millions and millions of people. This is a sure way of marking an avatar. Now, there are various types of avatars. In our mind, we think that there's only one. So there's a partial, or there's an endowed or entered into by a god or a goddess. There's something called a direct and complete. It's called Yuga, an avatar of the age. There's an inner and inspirational avatar. There's a cosmic or salvific. Purna is full of complete avatar. And another classification is based on guna, sattva, rajas, tamas. For instance, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Then there are these Purusha avatars and Leela avatars, Shakti avatars, Acharyas, great teachers. The Bhagavatam says the avatars of Vishnu are innumerable. How does the infinite embody itself? And Shankaracharya, one of the greatest, you can say, proponents and the mainstay of Vedanta philosophy, he says that the Lord, endowed with knowledge, sovereignty, power, strength, valor, and formidability, exercises his command over his own Maya, which naturally belongs to him as Vishnu, and which goes by the name of primal nature, Prakriti, consisting of the three gunas as Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And as such, through his own Maya, he appears as if embodied, as if born, and as if favoring people. Though by his nature, an avatar is birthless, changeless, Lord of all beings, eternally pure, conscious and free. Now note the word eva, as if. We also have the great doctrine enumerated in the Bhagavad Gita. But before we go into this, as Shankaracharya says, there is the kind of an appearance. It's not only an avatar that appears. An avatar technically means that which descends. Ava and Tarana, that which descends. So the divine has descended, or the descent of the divine, that could be appropriate. And yet again, how does that infinite existence, the Lord of all beings, can become limited? Shankaracharya says that this is done through his power called Maya, which is also called primordial nature. And it is this power that makes an avatar appear to be born, appear to be like us, eat, drink, etc., etc. But in reality, the Lord is unborn. Because if the Lord is born, the unborn Lord is born, then we have a contradiction in terms. How can that which is unborn be born? This is one of the reasons why they say this birth is an appearance according to Vedanta. The Bhagavad Gita says, although I am birthless, undecaying, and the Lord of all beings, still by subjugating my prakriti, my nature, I take birth by means of my own Maya. This is the doctrine. The Lord does not go against his nature of being unborn, undecaying, eternal, infinite. That can never happen. And if it does, that will be the end of God and the end of religion and the end of everything. So Shankaracharya had brought out this great doctrine of appearance. The next verse says, O Arjuna, many lives of mine have passed, and so have yours. I know them all, but you do not know. It is not that the Lord just appears once. It is not that Arjuna or even us appears just once. We have been coming over and over and over again. And Sri Ramakrishna says, when you attain the knowledge of your real nature, not your appearance, then you will become free. That is called liberation. Whenever there is a decline of dharma and an increase of adharma, then I do manifest myself. This quotation has been so oft repeated everywhere. Yada yada hi dharmasya. This is how the Bhagavad Gita, in its selected verses, speaks of an incarnation, an avatar. So what is the mission? An avatar, while alive, energizes the work of all previous incarnations. This is another strong indicator. Energizes all spirituality, all forms of spiritual practices, all forms of worship, all forms of spiritual knowledge. There will be no contradiction between the teachings of one incarnation and another. There are no contradictions in the various teachings of the different avatars. For an avatar comes to fulfill, not to destroy. This has been repeated often by each and every avatar. They are the builders, not the breakers. The next work of an avatar is, as you can see, is to evolve humankind spiritually. And so an avatar lives the entire life the evolutionary history of humankind. We also, when we are born, we live our entire evolutionary history. But with us, we come down to the present and fizzle out. Well, an avatar lives the entire life from the past to the present and also the future. And this is a kind of a goal. He sets a goal. He teaches according to the present times how to attain that goal. The difference between him and us is he lives the life of entire humanity and we live our own individual lives. So this is a very powerful indicator of an avatar, that this is how humanity will progress. An avatar descends for us to ascend. This is another big indicator. An avatar cancels the doom of 1 million souls. Swamiji called Sri Ramakrishna Kapala Mochana, one who wipes away the set destiny of souls and gives them a new spiritual destiny. Sri Ramakrishna also called them as a Farashdanga. That is, whenever one has, whatever has done in the past, if one takes refuge in or surrenders to an avatar, such persons attain liberation. It is only an avatar can liberate you. People have been saying that, yes, we will attain liberation through our own steam, our own strength. And Sri Ramakrishna had shown it to Swami Satyamayananda, who lived for many years in San Francisco, that you can't attain liberation on your own strength. It is the Lord that comes and liberates you when he sees you are struggling heart and soul and have taken refuge in the avatar. The next is he becomes an Archana Murti, a form to be worshipped and adored. You just saw our Swami Harinamananda worshipping. What did he worship? The form of an avatar. This is a fact evidenced in the case of all avatars. After they pass away, their forms are worshipped by millions and millions and millions of people all over the world. Sri Ramakrishna says, this is the high state of yoga, seeing his own picture, the form that we worship now. And this form will be worshipped in every home as time rolls on. How prescient were his words. And obviously, he ought to know, because he lives the life of future humanity. He knows the future. There are many people who meditate on Sri Ramakrishna, do his japa, worship him. So he becomes, an avatar becomes a chosen ideal for the age. And by this, he becomes the door to the infinite. This is very important. It's not just a form to be worshipped, but this is the door to the infinite. Sri Ramakrishna also says that an avatar is like a small hole in a wall that covers a meadow. You can see the other side of the meadow through that hole. An avatar is like that hole. Sri Ramakrishna also says that God incarnates for the sake of his devotees. Yes. And this has been oft repeated over and over again by innumerable avatars. So an avatar, what does an avatar do? The first thing, he starts a new religious tradition. You see it in Christianity, you see in Buddhism, you see in Islam, you see it in all the Indian religions, that a new religious order And a religion, as it were, a tradition, begins with the advent of an avatar, with its own system of philosophy and its mantras and rituals. You've also seen how Swami Harinamananda was chanting all these mantras while puja. This is the speciality of an avatar. To start this tradition, Sri Ramakrishna and Avatar brings very powerful souls. And if one reads the life of Sri Ramakrishna, one finds that he had brought such souls like Swami Vivekananda, Swami Brahmananda, which you had just saluted, and a whole host of monastic and non-monastic disciples. They, as it were, absorb the power of an avatar and then transmit it down to us in innumerable channels. An avatar then authenticates all the traditions, not only in Vedanta, the innumerable traditions. And this is not limited to one religion. An avatar demonstrates the utility and the authenticity of every religion. And to keep these traditions alive and going, there is the succession of gurus and disciples that acts like a spiritual channel for the powers and lends stability to the network of relationships with the past avatars. And so there is no kind of break in the spiritual powers from the present, which is also a rolling over from the past. While in the physical bodies, the avatars and the companions travel the length and breadth of the country, visiting sacred places and temples, while infusing these places and people with their spiritual powers. This is extremely important because all those temples and places of worship which were becoming moribund, possibly, have now been infused with this new power, the divine power. Besides, an avatar and his companions also awaken all these sleeping, as it were, gods and goddesses, besides all the sleeping souls like us. Not only that, he authenticates all the ancient gods and goddesses, and people once again begin worshipping them. The temples and places of pilgrimage are again rejuvenated. You see this every time. Why does one want to go to Lumbini, where Buddha was born? Why do you want to go to Bethlehem? That place has now become infused with the power of an avatar, which draws souls to that place. So these souls feel and the awakening, and also the gods and goddesses. So these various gods and goddesses, and Hinduism has a vast spectrum of gods and goddesses. They also now respond to the respective prayers of their respective devotees. The avatar also authenticates all the ancient scriptures, the mythology, the rituals, while giving them a new interpretation. Here we have to bring us down a little from the doctrine and the impact. So what happens with an avatar? Avatar is like us, appears to be like us. Then avatar experiences hunger and thirst and sleep and pain, just like any one of us. They behave exactly like us. But though they have a body, they have no body consciousness like us. That is one of the big differences between an ordinary embodied soul and an embodied avatar that has appeared in our midst. The powers of the mind are highly developed in an avatar. And so is a knowledge. The knowledge is infinite. Yet they go through these motions of acquiring knowledge. The body, unlike us, it does not obstruct the acquiring of knowledge. The bodies are the purest that can be found in nature. We get brain fog when we read something, or if you're tired. This does not happen to an avatar. Secondly, as I mentioned, they show the way to liberation. The teachings are like a mold, as it were, for us to fill in with our lives. They set up an ideal and show us how to transcend our weaknesses. Many times people say, oh, we just can't do what has been recommended by the saints and sages. We are so weak. Sri Ramakrishna says, do a little of what I have done. And that little has become a kind of a mold for us to transcend our own weaknesses. We saw how Bhairavi Brahmani noticed the signs of that great, you can say, spiritual state called a Mahabhava, which can be only seen in an avatar. All avatars will have this state, this Mahabhava can be experienced only in the bodies of avatars. An ordinary embodied soul's body will simply break. Yes, it will disintegrate because the spiritual powers that are awakened are tremendous. Our ordinary bodies, impure, can't hold on to these, you can say, powers. And so this is how it was first delineated and authenticated by one of his gurus, Bhairavi Brahmani, and in a big conference where all the avatars indications were shown, they found that, yes, it tallied exactly what the scriptures have been mentioning about what an avatar is. And there is a plethora of, you can say, instructions about what an avatar's body and mind is capable of. Appears like us, but he's or she is not like us. For the mind of an avatar is identified with the cosmic mind. In our case, our minds are identified with our bodies. You ask anybody, where's your mind? They'll say, oh, I don't know, somewhere inside. It is in your body. While an avatar has identified himself or herself with the universe. This is a state which is called Bhavamukha. So an avatar stands at the threshold of the infinite and the finite reality. The finite reality is called the Saguna Brahman, the Brahman with forms. He, as it were, stands on the doorway. On one side is the infinite. On the other side is the finite. And he identifies with the cosmic mind. That means he identifies himself with the entire universe. And that's why the idea of lordship comes in. So in this state, when he is identified with existence, the physical, the subtle, and the causal, in this state, the avatar is God. Yes, and that's the reason why we have been told over and over again, as in the Bible it said, he who has seen the Son has seen the Father. This is they are aware of their great, you can say, infinite powers. For us, authentication is done through yoga. Yoga is nothing but super consciousness. By specially gifted sages and also through his band of intimate souls. Yes, first is the scriptures. Second, the Lord himself says, I am an avatar. And the third authentication comes by a long line of sages. Besides, it is open to verification by each and every one. If we can rise to this level of super consciousness. Right now, our minds are just enmeshed in the day-to-day conscious world of objects and subjects of pain and pleasure. This mind can never verify God. This mind is always susceptible to doubts, to disbeliefs. So at one stage through yoga, when the mind has risen to that level, then that mind can understand that, yes, this is an avatar. In the Bhagavad Gita also says, you are the supreme Brahman, the supreme light, the supreme sanctifier. All the sages, and also the divine sage Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, call you the eternal divine Purusha, the primal God, the birthless, the omnipresent, and you yourself verily tell me so. This is Arjuna who tells Krishna on the battlefield. Yes, you are declaring it. You have also been declared by the great sages that you are the supreme Brahman appearing in our midst. For us, and this is very important for us, we also, in a way, authenticate an avatar. But since our powers are so limited, an avatar will and must reveal his identity through dreams. Yes, this is a foregone conclusion. Through visions. And this is one who is a worshipper of an avatar gradually understands that this image or this person that I'm worshipping or this deity I'm worshipping is not ordinary. Then avatar begins working from within. He will awaken our consciousness about his or her reality. Another indication is their parents are venerated and the birthplace and the places they lived in become sacred places of pilgrimages for ages and ages. This is what happens. When does an avatar appear? Virtuous people who are troubled, those who inquire of religion and spirituality, and devotees. The accumulated prayers, hopes, sufferings, misery, aspirations makes God embody. Our prayers and so on rises and makes the divine descend. This is extremely important to every religion. When does an avatar appear? It is because we have been searching for him, looking for him, praying to him. This is how we are responsible for bringing an avatar down to our midst. There is a need of the age to impel the spiritual forces to counter material ones. Yes, we don't need to elaborate on this. We see how materialism has, like a cancer, has sunk its tentacles deep into our souls. Because we think we are material, our outlook is material, our end also will be material. Yet deep down, we feel there is a touch of the divine. There's something that says that, yeah, I am not completely material. There is something spiritual in me. The avatar comes to awaken, to impel these spiritual forces in oneself and in the world. It comes whenever rituals and everything have become cumbersome, comes to simplify things, gives a new form of religion suited for the age. Where does an avatar descend from? So here is the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. So Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshya Arjuna Tishtati. Ishvara, the Saguna Brahman, that which is identified with the cosmos, with the universe, is seated in the hearts of all beings. You must not think that an avatar comes from heaven. That has never been the doctrine in India of an avatar. And the doctrine of an avatar had been studied minutely in no other place but in Vedanta, in Hinduism. And then he says, take refuge in him alone with your whole being. Tameva sharanam gaccha. Through his grace, you will attain supreme peace and the eternal abode. So an avatar descends from one's own heart. Your heart has been pining over and over and over for the Lord. We have been asking, does God exist? Keep on asking these questions. Keep on doubting. And an avatar will come to answer all these questions, to answer your prayers. This is how and when the avatar appears. So an avatar, when he appears, what happens? When his body is present, the physical body appearance is there, he will manifest himself through that body and mind. And then his disciples embodied and manifested him, an avatar, in their remarkable lives. He, as it were, lived in and through them. So did household devotees and disciples. They also manifested Sri Ramakrishna in their astounding lives and lived them. You see, simply an avatar, people claiming avatarhood or people saying so-and-so is an avatar, that will not do until and unless you are manifesting that avatar through your thoughts, your words, your deeds. So an avatar enters after giving up the physical body. In a spiritual body enters all beings. And it is up to us to manifest the avatar in our lives. So this greatest secret of the doctrine becomes now an open secret. I had started with saying it's a vexing problem. It is a philosophical, huge conundrum. How can the infinite become finite? That one secret, which is the last secret of the universe, becomes known to us, it becomes open. This is revealed to us in our inner consciousness. Yes, as I spoke about a higher consciousness, this is where an avatar reveals herself or himself. The avatar lives in us and we live in an avatar. As I said, an avatar descends from our hearts, from our souls, and goes back into our own souls. And from there, then Avatar keeps on manifesting his power, knowledge, devotion, love, existence, and everything that is good and great. And Avatar's real work begins after giving up the appearance of a physical body. It will roll on for ages and ages. It's not going to limit itself to centuries. Ages and ages. Because Swami Vivekananda said, Sri Ramakrishna is the avatar of the age, Yuga avatar. So till this age gets over, Sri Ramakrishna will be there. And this age is going to last a very, very, very long time. So we are talking about embodiment. When we think, our thoughts are embodied. And that's why we are a complement of thoughts, mind, and body. Everything has to be embodied. If you don't embody your thoughts, they are just figments of your imagination. For thought to become powerful has to be embodied. So we are designed in a way that we can embody thoughts. And Avatar uses this very instrument to embody within ourselves. And when we can dwell on an avatar, pray, meditate, worship, we, as it were, are tearing away the veils that cover our ignorance. And then Avatar will start embodying herself or himself through our very thoughts, through our words, and through our deeds. This is the way an avatar, not only one avatar, all avatars will have to do it. And for us to know an avatar, we will have to first manifest that creator. What about us? Oh, yes, we are, in a way, all avatars. Yes. I'm not talking about movies now. Yeah, this word has become so current in society. It's proliferated everywhere. And now it's also an English word. So there we go. We, in a way, are avatars. We have descended from our real nature as spiritual beings into thinking that we are bodies, we are little people, we are weak, we are hostile, we are good, we are bad, we are so. Who told you all these things? This is just an appearance. What you have projected is just an appearance. It's like a kind of a dream. You're living in a dream world. That is why the great doctrine of an incarnation of an avatar is like it's a projection, it's an appearance. The divine appears as if embodied. According to Vedanta, one is that infinite existence, consciousness, bliss. We have forgotten it, and we are behaving like something else, like Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so. So we are, in a way, an avatar. Once you can understand your own divine nature, you go back to your source, then you will know also the secret of all incarnations, all avatars. That knowledge will be the liberating knowledge, the culminating knowledge. Vedanta means the culmination of all knowledge. This will be the culmination. When you and the reality of an avatar merge and be one with it. This is the goal of human life. Sri Ramakrishna says the goal of human life is to see God. Yeah, people say, what? What's the goal of life? To see God. But isn't God something, some superstition or something intangible or somewhere far, distant in heaven or maybe hell? Who knows? No. God is the nearest of the near. It's the most tangible of all tangible. Your own life of being an avatar of the divine is actually a chimera, a dream. Look back at your own life and see everything that you have done is kind of dreamlike, without any substance. So when you go back to your own self, you go back to an avatar. You go back to your real nature. You go back to where you really belong, with an avatar. Om, peace, peace, peace.
Thank you, Swamiji. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right, wonderful presentation. Just let's ask just one question here. So as you said, avatars, they bring a message each time they are incarnate. Now, just so use an avatar, as you said, avatar means that which descends. So the infinite descends. We believe here that Buddha was an avatar, that Jesus was an avatar.
Yes.
Saying that also, like we have Krishna or Ramakrishna as an avatar. Can you just briefly, but you said the messages do not contradict one another.
Yes.
So
they never contradict.
Can you gracefully then what is the message, maybe just in a few sentences, why Buddha come? Let's just compare some of the Buddha, Christ, and say maybe Ramakrishna. What is the central?
They come for us to realize our own nature, to liberate us. And they give us a means. The goal of the work of every avatar is to liberate souls. Nothing else. And in this age, it is to understand our real nature by giving us simplified paths to realize this nature. An avatar does not come to make you comfortable or make the world comfortable. It does not come with any other motive but to liberate us. So this is the principal message of an avatar. You come to me, I liberate you. And this is done by all avatars. The power still remains. So the message for this age, see your own self, see the God within, and how in this age is for lust and greed are the greatest, you can say, obstacles. Give them up or transcend them, and you'll realize God.
And by liberation, you mean to alleviate our suffering that we're experiencing now in this world?
No, it's not just suffering. It is liberation from all limitations, physical, mental, moral, spiritual even. It is absolute liberation. People talk about it as salvation. But in Vedanta, it is liberation. Yes, a salvific power comes with an avatar. But as Sri Ramakrishna says, the goal of human life is to see God, to become infinite, to know the infinite. God should not be thought of in just terms of a personal God with limitations. God, this is the goal. And as the message of an avatar descends, it changes culture. Buddhism changed the culture and the society of people. Christianity changed the culture and society all around. Islam changed the culture and society everywhere. these become means to go back to the avatar. Songs, music, dances, drama, literature, these proliferate after the coming of an avatar. So these are the various means that an avatar establishes for us to go to him. And it can go to any. Okay. Suppose you are worshipping Buddha, or you're worshipping Christ, or you're worshipping Rama. Does that makes you inauthentic? Why don't you come to Ramakrishna? No. As I said, all past incarnations are energized. Their message and their powers are energized by succeeding avatars. It's always like that. And as he comes to fulfill, he comes to fulfill everyone. So Sri Ramakrishna had a vision of Christ, he had a vision of Buddha, he had a vision of Rama and Krishna. Every past incarnation, every god and goddess was kind of revealed to him, and he embodied. That's the reason why he's saying he is the embodiment of all the gods and goddesses. So if you can worship Rama, you will attain liberation with Rama. If you worship Buddha, you will attain liberation through Buddha. If you worship Christ, you will attain liberation through Christ. And this is why we need to understand that there should be no sectarianism. There should be no fanaticism. An avatar, a god, is a god for everyone. We, with our limited ideas of Godhead, we have created this strife, this turmoil. Millions and millions of people suffer because of this fanaticism. Why? If you only worshipped God or an avatar or saint sincerely, this fanaticism and this sectarianism would never have reared its head in society. This place would have become even better. Imagine for thousands of years we have been persecuting each other because of our beliefs in one form or the other of God. Who has given us this kind of authority to punish others, to kill others, to burn and kill and destroy others? So an avatar comes to bring in a harmony. And as Swami Harinamananda has showing that we worship all these gods and goddesses and every truth is one, sages call it by its various name, obviously. So this said one truth has come and is manifesting to us. People also, that's another unique feature of Sri Ramakrishna. If you worship Sri Ramakrishna and if you want to see Christ in him, you will see Christ in him. If you want to worship Buddha in Sri Ramakrishna, you will see Sri Ramakrishna as Buddha. He will appear like that. This is also part of the doctrine of the Bhagavad Gita, that whatever way you worship me, I will appear in that form to you. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, etc. So the message of this avatar for this age is realize your own real nature. And I'm here to help you.
Marge, just one more. One of the audience members has a question, and then this will have to, within 2 minutes, if you can answer, then we have to have prasad served. Go ahead, ask your question.
Pranam Maharaj, thank you for a wonderful exposition of the concept of Avatara. Now, Avataras are the physical manifestation of Saguna Brahman, as you said, and they take a physical form. So, do they fall in the domain of Maya?
Of course. But like Sri Ramakrishna says, well, a snake has venom, but it doesn't harm the snake. But if a snake bites us, we die. So, as I had mentioned, Shankaracharya says, He says that all his qualities of formidability, of strength, of knowledge, etc., belong to him, and he subjugates his Maya and comes down to this fire. So in our case, we are subjugated by Maya. In the case of an incarnation, an avatar, he subjugates his own Maya. So that's a huge difference between him and us. So you are also, in a way, part of that Saguna Brahman. Yes, in a microscopic way, you are also a part of it. So, and so is an avatar. So remember this, the Maya aspect of an incarnation is completely subdued by him or her. While in our cases, our souls have been completely overwhelmed and subdued by Maya. Swamiji says, everything is limited by Maya. The infinite has become limited. If you're thinking of yourself as a soul right now, you'll be free from Maya. But you can't. You're thinking of yourself as a body, as a mind, as a person. Yes, so and so, so and so. This is Maya. So Maya makes the impossible possible, as well as the possible also impossible. Yes, it works both ways. It's not a simple play of words. It makes the impossible possible and the possible impossible. It throws a screen, as it were. So that's a difference between an avatar and us. Okay. As I mentioned, the avatar also feels hunger and thirst and pain, but his mind and body is so pure, and body and mind are so elevated, they do not be subject to hunger and thirst and fear, etc., like us. Yet at the same time, we have to relate to that person, to an avatar. How do we relate? Oh, he's a human being. We can relate as human beings. If an avatar comes like a huge, you can say, towering mountain, you won't be able to relate to him. So that is another way we are drawn to an avatar. We relate to persons we recognize like us. And yet they are so huge in their stature, spiritual stature. They come, as it were, to enact their play, and their lives itself become a form of meditation. When you read about an avatar, whether you read the Bible or the Tripitaka or the scriptures of Vedanta, you are actually meditating on an avatar. You're also meditating on the deeds. In one of the places, it says, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Anyone who knows my divine birth and my divine works, in truth, they will become liberated. So their lives and teachings become, as it were, forms of meditation. That speaks about one who is beyond Maya. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji, so much for the presentation. Thank you, Marge. Wonderful. So thank you, everyone, for coming today. Today, again, we have some who are brand new to this place. What you witnessed was what we call a puja, a worship to Sri Ramakrishna. And as Swamiji was talking about today, the avatar also exists within us, those intrinsic noble qualities that exist. In a puja, just to give you just a very short, brief example of what happens in a puja, is that the first part of the puja will be a lot of what we call purification, cleansing. We cleanse our own instrument, our own body, our own biases, the environment around us. So we cleanse everything around us. All the baggage that we've been carrying, that we've carried with us in this lifetime, and and in previous lifetimes, we want to burn that baggage away. So we cleanse the body. Turn on the light. And then the second part of the puja is to invoke that divine presence. So we invoke as Swami, the avatar within us, the qualities of love, truth. You know, in Hinduism and Vedanta, we don't believe that just because God says, you know, that you should practice love, you should practice truth, that this is what you should do. No, what are values? They exist within us. Why do we love? Because we are love. That love exists within us. Why do we follow truth? Because we are truth. If we're not following truth, we're not being who we truly are. So we are bringing these avatar qualities out. In the second part, invoking that presence, and then we bring them out as a way to worship that avatar. And so one of the things that we offer is we offer food. And so that's what food is, what we call here prasad. We offer it to the Lord. And I'll just give you a quick story. I've told this a few times, but there's some new people here. Some of you think that we're offering things. Well, what does the Lord accept? All right, because the food I offer seems to be the same food that's coming back. Does the divine take anything? And there was a great story told by one of our swamis. He says, when you offer, whatever you offer, say for example the food, when you're offering the food, what does the Lord accept? Well, in the process of making the food and offering it to God, what happens is you're coating that food with the jam of your love. So when you're making that food, you're actually putting devotion into love into that food. So what the Swami said is like bread. You put jam on bread, and what does the Lord take? He licks the jam of devotion that you put into the food, and you get back His prasad, His offering to us. That's the sacred offering. And so that is what we're going to be having today. So we invite everybody here to partake of that prasad, the sacred food. And Swamiji, we thank you so much for your beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much. Sure.
And as a way, Swamiji, if you want, you can help just say Brahma Pranam.
Yeah.
Because it's raining outside, so we're going to do this one thing. We have flowers here for anybody that would like to offer flowers. You can come up and offer a flower, and a flower is basically whatever prayer you want to offer to the divine. Just pray with your heart, whatever it is. If it's for your own benefit, if it's for the benefit of others, for someone in need, offer that prayer and then offer it to the divine. We believe truly that if your prayer is sincere, the divine listens, God listens, and can respond in various ways. May not necessarily be the way we want it, but the divine does respond. And that's an avatar. An avatar is, again, descending, the divine descending to answer our prayers. And so our prayer is a way of ascending and connecting to Him.